entity, an FBI operation comes to your facility, you are to put your weapons down and you are not to resist. Now, the reason I'm saying this, and I know it's ominous, is that these projects cannot be allowed to go on indefinitely. The gaslighting, the dissembling, this could go on for another 50 years. So I know for a fact that conclusions have been reached in some very high places that these operations are rogue, are illegal, and are a threat to world security and national security. But if you take, for example, I've gotten to know quite well an Area 51 guy who was there for several years in his mid to late 20s and was read into projects there dealing with extraterrestrial and human operations, and also at Wright-Patterson and Eglin Air Force Base. And, he had no idea that at the upper reaches of management of those operations, that those were not being, supervised legally by the Congress or the President. Now, I found that out when I briefed the President and CIA Director in 1993. So I've had that baked into my cake for a long time. But most of these people, let's call them the very highly classified personnel, whistleblowers, that are first-hand witnesses. And they're not like Rush, who found out from first-hand, but the direct witnesses, like the Disclosure Project has. They have no idea that they're in an illegal project, that they need to get this message very quickly, because they cannot, I understand that it's the chain of command and they're following orders, but at this point, read between the lines. The majority leader of the Senate is taking action to get to the bottom of this because he's not been read in. The oversight committees, the Senate Intelligence Committee, the Armed Services Committee, senior people in the Pentagon that I briefed in the past, and for heaven's sakes, the sitting CIA director that I briefed. You can't have a project going forward that's acquiring extraterrestrial vehicles, reverse engineering them, developing advanced technologies that fly like a UAP, and do this all without oversight legally. If you do it that way, it is a rogue and unconstitutional project. So to all of you working in those areas, please be prepared to cooperate with the rule of law and the Constitution, number one. Number two, if you are a whistleblower or witness to these operations currently or in the past, please contact us at our website, which you can put up for folks.
Yeah, we'll have it linked in the description so people can come forward. Overall, when you saw members of Congress, though, asking some fairly nuanced questions, I couldn't actually believe, here we were in 2023 with members of Congress asking questions about interdimensional beings in front of Congress. I mean, that's one thing that stands out to me, and David Grush kind of touched on that a little bit. There was other more nuanced questions about the types of vehicles and propulsion mechanisms. It wasn't sort of the laughing stock that we've seen in past hearings. They actually seemed like really interested in getting to the bottom of this. Just on the interdimensionality question, what do you know about the interdimensionality piece that David Grush was asked about, with these beings traveling interdimensionally? What, in your experience, can you speak to?
Well, first of all, let me state that a number of the questions that were being asked were ones that I had been requested to write for some of the members.
They seemed pretty sophisticated, I will admit.
Yeah.
I mean, when they're reading those cards.
And I'm not going to say which ones, but
right.
We've been providing on background this sort of information, and I specifically yesterday had a call with one of the members and helped them develop those specific questions. But to answer your question about interdimensionality, let me use this analogy. If you are going to go from one star system to another, you cannot go even at the speed of light in a straight line. Okay? It would take too long. It's like if you're from, a star system that's 50,000 light years away, which is just in our own galaxy, it would take 50,000 years at the speed of light. Moreover, if you know Einstein's formulas, if you are just accelerating up to the speed of light, when you hit the speed of light, you take on infinite mass. So it's not possible. So the only way to go from point A to B in the cosmos is like a piece of paper that you fold space-time. Now, when you fold space-time, you're actually traversing other dimensions. It gets complicated, and you are actually all the physics that we deal with in the 3D universe are not operative in the other dimensional aspects of the cosmos. And so it's a bit of a misnomer to say these beings and craft are interdimensional but not extraterrestrial. A priori, if you're extraterrestrial and you're going from one star system to another, you have to be interdimensional. Okay, is this clear? I mean, I know it sounds a little confusing, but it's like saying, well, is an orange or is it round or is it fruit? Well, it's an orange, round fruit.
The only way you could travel like this is interdimensionally. Is the answer correct? Right?
Yes. And I use the term transdimensional because you're transiting through dimensions. Now, to make this a little more confused, there are beings that are not extraterrestrial that are from other dimensions, but not extraterrestrial from another physical planet. So this gets into a whole understanding of a cosmology, let's say, that needs to be greatly updated from the good old days of Carl Sagan and your Harvard astrophysicists. But at any rate, it is correct to say that these are extraterrestrial and transdimensional or interdimensional, because there's no way to go from point A to B without going transiting through other dimensions. Because once you go beyond the speed of light and you're dropping out of linear space-time to appear at one point to another, for the time that you are, well, time is not the correct term, for the episode, let's call it, of going from point A to B, you are interdimensional. You're transitioning through dimensions. So that's why I think, again, there needs to be a little more background briefing for the congressmen. I know they're very busy with other things, and some of this gets to be a bit obtuse or abstract or what have you, but the public needs to understand this, because these terms get thrown around without proper definition or, in my opinion, scientific reference.
Do you think that now Congress has been given the green light? It seemed like this bipartisan back and forth, it was sort of a green light yesterday to say, you now have the wherewithal to go forward, find out where these craft are being stored, where they're being studied, where they're being reverse engineered. Over and over and over again, we heard from members of Congress today asking that question of Grush, and he said, I will give you specific names, locations, etc., behind closed doors in a skiff, right, which is a secure whatever conference room. It's protected from whatever, right? He'll give you those names, those locations, and I'm sure you've already provided a lot of that information to them already anyway. So now is this a green light for them to go and look and ask? I know Tim Burchett, I think he went to Florida on one particular location where he got there and they left stuff, right? He went there and they took everything away, or what happened there?
Yeah, so this is the problem. I know the senior investigator for the Senate Intelligence and Armed Services, back when he first contacted me, had gone out to the Lockheed Skunk Works, and he basically was shown a bunch of old jet engines and aircraft, and he knew he was being gaslit and deceived. So that's when they reached out to me in the January of 2022, a year and a half ago. So the problem is, you're not going to knock on the front door and say, pretty please let us see this. And this has happened to presidents, senior ranking members of Congress, and frankly to the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency, CIA, and the head of intelligence for the Joint Chiefs of Staff that I personally briefed. All of them ran into this. So this is where my earlier caveat, people working in those facilities cannot any longer cooperate with those, let's call them.
So basically, people, they talking about these UFOs, which you can read about in the book of Ezekiel. And if you wanted to get more information on them, so these people know these things have been around for a long time. You know, they've been hiding this from the public, but now they know in the latter ends that these things are coming back for the so-called children of Israel to give us and help us get through these tough times and be delivered into the Lord's kingdom, which is YAHAWAH, BAHASHEM, YAHAWAHSHI.